It's our Week 10 edition of the Coordinator's Corner. It's our weekly BYU football chat with the Cougars coordinating coaches. Coming up on today's show, we will look back at Saturday night's wild win in Salt Lake City that improves BYU to 9-0 on the year, 6-0 in conference, and up to 7th in the latest AP poll, BYU's highest November ranking since 1996. We'll be visiting today with BYU Special Teams Coordinator Kelly Poppinga and Defensive Coordinator Jay Hill. We begin today's show with Coach K-Pop. Coach, great to see you.
Great to be back.
It's great to win that game.
Oh, yeah. Exciting. Hopefully we didn't give anybody any heart attacks out there, but, man, it was fun.
Just another BYU-Utah game.
Yeah.
Right? Just such a garden variety. It's always something crazy.
What is it now, 20 of 24? With
20 of 24 decided by one score. Decided by single digits.
Yeah.
19 of the 24 by 8 points or fewer or one score.
Yeah.
And they just never end up just yawners. There's always something crazy, isn't there?
One of the most unbelievable finishes I've seen, and just proud of the guys. The way there was a lot of adversity there, especially in the fourth quarter with field position and having our backs backs against the wall, especially offensively the whole quarter. And we get a penalty that then sets us up for a game-winning field goal, which was for me being a coach here prior, and I was telling the D staff this morning. I'm thinking back as we're driving the same direction we were driving in 2010, the same direction we were driving in 2012, that both needed field goals to win the game or tie it. And I'm thinking, okay, those both ended in blocked field goal. And I'm just thinking in my mind, I got to get this out of my head right now. And,
me both.
Yeah. And we, get down there and we get it up the ball on the left hash where Will preferred it, even though he didn't say he preferred it that way, but that's where he did prefer it. And, it ends up hitting the game winner. It was fun.
I always appreciate the weeks that you're on the show because it seems like we always have great special teams plays to discuss from the game before. Yeah. This week is no different. We'll get into the particular moments, of course, but it was a big special teams game.
Yeah, I was happy for our guys because Utah's really good on special teams. They're and they have been for a long time. Going back to the days when Coach Hill was there, they've been really solid on special teams. And I think Coach Whittingham, he has his hand in a lot of that stuff. And so we knew going into the game that we were going to have to perform at a really high level. And we ended up meeting 8 of our 9 goals on special teams. The one goal we didn't reach was we wanted to be penalty free, and we got a penalty. We got a holding call, I think, late in the game. But other than that, we played really clean special teams and obviously game-changing play on kickoff return, and our field goal unit was solid, and I think that was Sam's best game as a punter. I think he was close to 45 net punt, and we didn't allow any return yards, and so just a really solid, great game for special teams. Now
your defensive ends hat for a moment. The build-up for this game, unique. Both teams had 2 weeks to prepare. And Utah was going to have different looks on offense, right? A new OC, a new starting quarterback. And as defensive coaches, you've had to prepare for a ton of quarterback changes, either in the week of the game where you don't know, or in the game itself because of what's going on. There's been a lot of that uncertainty for you guys.
Yeah, and you know what? Going into this game, we had a pretty good idea what the coordinator was going to do. We went back and watched, some of the stuff that he did at Northwestern. And it really matched up a lot with what Utah had done earlier in the year. So you could tell that his influence was on the team early in the season. And so we had a pretty good idea what they were going to do. And then as far as the quarterback matter went, we knew that number 8 wasn't going to be as experienced as Isaac, but both inexperienced guys that hadn't seen a lot of different coverages and game-like situations. And so we felt pretty good going into the game, but we did know that there was going to be some formations and plays that we weren't going to see or we hadn't seen. And that's like most games. But, I thought our guys, besides the second quarter, played as good as defense as we played the whole entire year.
Okay, let's get into the game. Great start for the BYU defense. 3 and out to open the game as you got your first looks at Mekhi Bernard, one of the best backs in the league.
Yeah, they came out and ran the ball 3 times in a row, and I thought our guys came out really physical, knocked him back, and then got him in a fourth down situation right there, 4th and short. And I loved the way that our guys started the game. And that was one of the challenges that we gave them, was we didn't want to give these guys any confidence, especially the quarterback, starting the game off. And to be able to get a 3 and out to start the game, that's if you go back to the games that we've played really good on defense this year, that's pretty much how the season or how those games have gone. And so just, I think we ended up giving up 260 yards in the whole entire game and 80 in the second half or whatever it was. But yeah, this is the way that we should be playing as these clips you're seeing here on TV.
A great tone setter. Utah only completed 2 drives in the opening quarter. That 3 and out we just saw, Then a drive that ends on Jakob Robinson's third pick of the season, 11th now of his BYU career.
Yeah, I mean, J-Rob's always, seems like he's always in the right place at the right time, and our guys did a great job. You go back and watch this clip right here.
It comes off a special, right?
Yeah, it comes off a throwback, but if you could see back to the left side right there, Crew Wakley and Jakob Robinson, they were all over it. They didn't fall for it at all. Crew had great eyes. He was looking right at the guy that he was supposed to cover. We're actually in a cover 2 concept right there, and so really for them, they were probably hoping that we were in man or some type of middle post defense, and being in cover 2, I think, really gave us an advantage to that. And J-Rob made a great play. And
is it a play a quarterback might have checked out of, but a receiver in that case makes the play?
And
because
kind of similar to what happened to Hinckley a couple games ago.
Yeah.
When you get somebody that's not usually, throwing the football, and they get in that situation,
Perfect,
they panic and they make a throw when they probably should just take a sack. But yeah, we were all over that, and I'm sure they're going back and looking at the film and probably wishing that he wouldn't have thrown that ball.
Cougs led 3-0 after one quarter. At the very end of the first quarter into the second is when Utah started to use Brandon Rose a little more as a runner.
Yeah, and really that very first run that they had was really just a misassignment by one of our guys, not aligning in the area that he was supposed to be in. So you see Isaiah Bagner right there was lined up a little too far to the outside, and if he's lined up where he's supposed to be right there, that play ends up completely different. They run the same exact play, almost against the same exact call in the fourth quarter, and it goes for 1 yard. So it's a great lesson for our guys to just, when you do your job and you do it correctly, how the defense is designed to be, then we'll make plays. But if you get out there and we start making up our own stuff, then yeah, everything's a fair game for them now to start making plays. And in that game, it's a lot was on us, especially in the second quarter. It wasn't so much what they were doing. I'll give them some credit. They made Keithy made a pretty good double move on. I think it was Crew for their first touchdown, but I mean, a lot of those drives were a result of us not doing what we were supposed to do and not finishing plays and penalties. And so when we finally calmed down in the second half and played the way that we were supposed to play, then I mean, you could go back to that and say maybe I'd give them a touchdown or maybe 10 points, but that 21 points for how we played in the second half should have never happened.
Second quarter. How you played in the second half, exactly. The way you shut them down, exactly right. After BYU goes down 7-3 in this one, the first big special teams play of the day, Keelan Marion's second kickoff return touchdown of the season. I know you're going to want to look at this one with us.
Yeah, that was fun. So we designed a return that they had struggled against. We really hadn't run this type of return all season long. And going back and watching film over the past couple years, they had struggled against this return, and so we designed something, and Keelan goes almost untouched right there. And the thing that's great about it, the guys that were on that team right there, everybody, if you look at everybody, they're on their blocks, everybody making great blocks. You got Mason Fakahua, Ray Palu right there, Bodie Schoonover doing a great job. Those are our back end guys and really cleared the way. But then our front end guys right there did a great job. Falital Satawala, one of the first reps he's ever got at kickoff return, he's on this team and he's there. And I love that picture right there is, he gets into the end zone and there's the other 10 guys right there ready to meet him, and almost goes untouched to the end zone right there. They blocked it up as good as we could have designed it, and just really happy for the guys. And man, it went from that place just being electric after they scored their first touchdown, and now you could hear a pin drop. And our little corner up there where the fans were going crazy. But yeah, just really happy for the guys in that situation. Able to respond that quickly was fun.
First time in 35 years. BYU's had a player return 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns in the same season with Keelan Marion. And now, BYU has 5 non-offensive touchdowns this season. Pick 6, scoop and score, 2 kickoff return touchdowns, and a punt return. You can add in a great fake punt that was executed earlier, a great fake field goal, a 70-yard punt in a game. Special teams has been a huge part of the season's success.
Yeah, and, I give credit to the guys. Everybody wants to look at me. It's really not me. I believe you got guys that are bought in and guys that believe, and we got really good players. And that makes your job a lot easier as a coach when you got good players around you to do good things. And, when it comes to the return game, when you have really good players back there that are fast and a guy like Keelan that is just going to hit it and is fearless, then, great things are going to happen like that. And so, if you just look at the season and the guys that are making those plays, we got good players, and that helps. That helps us coaches look a lot better. So
great schemes too. Back in the game itself, Utah did score touchdowns on the final 3 possessions of the first half, but all the scoring on the night was confined to that one quarter.
Yeah, and I think I think you might have put the stat out, and I shared it with the defensive stat. I think that 130 yards in the second quarter, and then 130 yards the first.
Yeah, it was 129 versus 130 the rest of the way. Yeah.
So it just goes to show the first quarter and the third and fourth quarter. That's what our defense is. What we did in the second quarter is not to our standard, and our players knew it. And we went into halftime, and we knew there wasn't much to fix. It was. We were going to make a wholesale change of the scheme, and Coach Hill did make some adjustments. We did a couple different things new in the second half, but it was more of just getting our guys to do their job, do it the right way, being physical and with relentless effort, and just finishing plays. And we didn't do that in that second quarter. And then when we finally started doing it there in the second half, then that's the type of defense I think we can be all the time.
Yes, you already hinted at it. What were as you were walking into the locker room at halftime down 21-10, what's your prevailing thought at that point?
I think for us, I think we all knew, because you're talking throughout the half, and we're talking over the headsets of what's going on, and it's just get our guys to execute and get them to do it, with the right mindset. And if we do that, we're going to be just fine. And so, yeah, we got into halftime, and Kalani got us all on edge to get us going, and then wanted that message to be clear to the players as well. So he gave it to us assistant coaches, and the assistant coaches gave it to the rest of the position groups, and then I think they responded the way that they wanted. And that's the thing that's great about this team that I love, is you got great leadership in every position, with Batty, and I think Glasker and Jack and Harry at the linebacker position, and John Nelson and Blake at the D tackle position, and Jakob Robinson, and all these other guys at the safety and corner position. And so we have great leadership. They all came together and said, we're going to get this thing going. And I don't think there was any doubt in their mind when we left the locker room that we were going to win that game.
Yeah, second half there was no panic, but there was great urgency, and it showed up in the second half. All right, after the break, we'll close the book on the Utah game with Coach Kelly Poppinga. As we go to break, we remind you to join Dave McCann and former Cougs, Blaine Fowler and David Nixon tomorrow night. It's a brand new episode of After Further Review. They'll look at BYU and Utah and ahead to Saturday versus Kansas. That's tomorrow at 7 Eastern on the BYUtv app and ESPN+. When we return, more with BYU Special Teams Coordinator Kelly Poppinga as the Coordinator's Corner continues. Brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys.
Coordinator's Corner is presented by JCW's The Burger Boys and Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
We are back on the Coordinator's Corner, visiting with BYU Special Teams Coordinator and defensive ends coach Kelly Poppinga. BYU winning its second straight game over the U over the weekend. Cougs' first win in Salt Lake City in 18 years, 22-21 your final. BYU now 9-0 on the year, 6-0 in the Big 12. We headed to the break with BYU trailing Utah 21-10 at halftime. In the Kalani Sitake era, BYU had never come back from down more than 10 at halftime for a win until Saturday. What was the key to pitching a second half shutout?
Wow, I did not realize that. That's awesome. First to everything right there, right? Yep. I think just what we said previously, just getting our guys to execute and getting our guys to understand that, and I don't want to make this sound wrong, but I think our team knew going into that game we were the better team. Like if we showed up and played the way that we were supposed to play, that as a team we were better. They might have had a guy here or a guy there that you could say was as good as anybody on our team, but as a team, we felt like we were a better team, and it was just getting our guys to believe that again and understand that we go out and play the way that we're supposed to play. We're gonna be happy when we walk back into this locker room after the game's over.
BYU this season, Coach, has a plus 73 scoring margin in the third quarter alone.
Wow.
Is that a direct reflection of the staff and the team's ability to make adjustments that are needed at halftime?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that or if it's just our team being able to, I think they're in really good condition. I think that a lot goes back to our strength coach, Coach Phyllis and his guys getting the boys ready to, be, stronger, as the game goes on. Because, I look back at it and I don't think we're making a ton of adjustments at halftime. It's more, little things here and there, and then being able to just get our guys to, execute maybe little things. You're not going to make wholesale changes in a game unless you're just completely getting your fanny kicked, right? And so I never felt like that was the case in that game. It was more of just us, doing the simple things, doing them better, and, just coming down to the execution piece.
Okay. Neither team got a lot going in the third quarter. BYU did record a takeaway, though, that led to your only points of that third quarter. Crew Wakley, second pick of the season for him.
Yeah, and really, Crew just did a really good job on that play of just reading the quarterback's eyes, and the quarterback threw it right to him. I think the quarterback, overthrew him a little bit right here. Wasn't getting much pressure, just, made a little errant throw, and then the ball goes over his head, and then it goes right into Crew's hands. But and we knew going into the game that there was a high likelihood that was going to happen quite a bit, where he was going to make some errant throws, just because with a guy that's not experienced, it just takes time, right? A lot of game reps are different than practice reps, and so we knew that there was going to be some overthrown balls, and our guys were going to have to be ready for them.
The only point scored in the third came off the foot of Will Ferrin. Made his second three-pointer of the game midway through that third quarter following the Wakley INT. That was his 8th consecutive field goal make at the time. He's been just rock solid for you.
Yeah, Will's awesome, and as we see later on in the game, he just is as calm as any kicker as I've ever been around, as confident as any kicker I've ever been around. And just the way that he approaches everything, it's just fun. And just totally different than a lot of kickers that I've been around before. Will has a really, I think, a really good competitive spirit about him, and always wanting to be his best. And he's worked his tail off this offseason. Just the operation time, that the time that the guys have put in between Dalton and Sam and Will, from the time of spring ball all the way through the season. I would love to put together all the hours that they've put in. Because they've worked as hard as any special teams unit I've ever been around, of just making sure they get that down. Because Sam's new. Sam's never been a true holder, and to get him, fine-tuned in exactly how Will wants it, how the ball needs to be tilted, where the laces need to be, that whole thing, it just takes practice time, and they've worked their butts off.
The score was 21-13 after 3, down only a score going into the fourth. Utah's offense was being kept for the most part on its own side of the field. Then BYU scores a TD to make it 2. The failed 2-point try. Then it's just a matter of, I think, the rest of the way giving your offense a chance, right? Their final 4 possessions, Utah's, of the second half, they were all punts.
Yeah, and it just goes back to what I've said this over and over again. Our guys were executing. They were playing physical. They were trying to run the ball. I think we were owning the line of scrimmage for the most part. They might have had a run or two there that got through the front line, but for the most part, I think our guys stepped up. I thought John Nelson played one of his best games. Batty played really well. And then I thought the linebackers, as always, played really good. But just happy for the guys that we played the way that we're capable of playing. That's always the hardest thing when you walk off the field sometimes and you look at the scoreboard, sometimes in a win and a loss, and you're like, man, we could have played better. But I do think our guys were proud of the way they played defensively in the second half and meeting the standard that we hold.
Let's get to the end game now. BYU got the ball back for one final time with under 2 minutes to play after that penalty on Utah late. Not much you could do other than hope that the field goal team would get a chance to tie the game. Of course, you would have taken any score, but it was likely going to be setting up for a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and I'm walking up and down the sideline. I just said, hey, we got them right where we want them. All we need is to go on a drive, and we're going to be in field goal position. And so talking to the guys that are not on the offense at the time, so Sonny Makasini was with me, Vil Puha, the kicker and the snapper and the holder. Who else did we have in there? Chittister, Bodie Schoonover. I'm just talking to those guys because there's a Mayday situation that we could potentially have to be in where we had to rush them on the field. And then luckily, Utah starts calling their timeouts. Yeah. And we knew that, I was sitting there talking to them, we knew that they wouldn't be able to stop the clock once we ran our last play. And so I told them, hey, we don't need to rush this, but we need to make sure we snap this ball before the time runs out, because the clock was running when they ran on the field.
Right.
And, we kick it with 3 seconds left. It would have been great if we would have kicked that thing with 1 second left on the clock, and then we don't have to deal with that kickoff return at the end of the game. But they executed that extremely well. The snap was great. The hold was great. Obviously, Will did his job, but the protection, as everybody looks at the protection, I've been in those games twice now where they've blocked kicks in that same exact situation in years past, in 2010 and 2012. And so just really, really proud of the guys holding firm and giving Will a chance to put the ball through the uprights.
And now you mentioned that Utah using timeouts kind of dictated how much you would have to hurry.
Yeah.
But the final minute was run really smoothly, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did a great job. Our offense did a great job of just being productive in the run game and then being able to get the ball over to the left side. I think that was that last run right there by LJ to get the ball over to the left side where the preferences. And, I've told this story. I put it out on Twitter, and people are probably, people I think liked it. But A-Rod's on the headset telling me, where does he want the ball? So I go to ask Will. And he has this smile on his face. He's like, I don't care, Coach. It doesn't matter to me. Wherever it's at, it's going to go in. And so, and just super confident. And just with that same smile
he's
he had
smiling.
right there, And so, even on the TV, people are sending me screenshots of him on the TV. They're banning to him, and he's just as cool as could be. And that's just who Will is. And that's who he's been. And ever since he's been here, going back to last season and what he's done this year, we obviously have a ton of confidence. Will, he's he's helped our team score a lot of points and put our team in position to win a lot of games this year.
And talking with him in the post game, to paraphrase him, it came down to muscle memory for him. He's like, guys, you got to believe me, I wasn't really that nervous because I just do this all the time, you know. And I guess if that's the kind of mindset you have, that could be the best possible thing for a kicker.
Yeah, and he's worked really hard with our sports psychologist guys, Braden Brown and Craig Manning, and he's worked with those guys, and I think they've really helped him have, develop that mindset. And so just another resource that our guys use to help them. Not just, you got to develop the strength part of it with Coach Phyllis and those guys, and then we do the scheme stuff with us, and then you have that other part of it to develop the mind, and he's taking advantage of that, and I think it's really helped him be a higher performer.
I'll throw some national numbers up on the screen from some of your special teams guys. We're talking about Will and Keelan and Parker. They have some really high national rankings right now. And it's tough to have a special season without guys who have special seasons, meaning individually putting up some nationally notable numbers, and that's what your guys are doing.
Yeah, and like we said with Will, he's done a great job. He's 17 for 20 right now, is that right?
That's right.
The season. And so that's an exceptional number. And Keelan with 2 touchdowns in a season. I don't know. Going back to probably my University of Virginia days, we had a guy that did that, but I can't remember ever having 2 in one season. And then, Parker obviously has done a great job, I think, especially lately, of securing the ball and being a really good punt catcher back there. And we're so close. We were really close in this game of getting a really big punt return late in the third quarter. Just like I said before, when you got great players, they make your job a lot easier as a coach. And so just glad these guys are on our team.
And 2 of those guys you picked as your special teams players of the week in Will and Keelan.
Yeah, I couldn't just sit here and say, I got to give it to Will for the game winner, because we're really never in that situation unless Keelan and the kickoff return team does their job and gets those, gets those 7 points on in the second quarter there. And so, special teams, we end up getting 3 field goals and a KOR touchdown, so 16 points. That's pretty exciting and that's fun, especially in that game. I always challenge our guys when we're playing a really good, solid special teams team like Utah. We got to outperform them, and I think our guys did that in this game.
Yeah, a 10-point night for Will with his 3 field goals and the PAT. Those are your players of the week. By the way, number 44 hit from 44 yards for the win on Saturday night. All right, next Saturday you can tune in to Cougar Pregame Live on BYU Radio. We now know that the game will kick. Well, we know that the game will kick at 8:15 Mountain, so we'll be on the air at 6 Mountain, 8 Eastern. The Cougs take on the Kansas Jayhawks, second to last home game of the regular season. As we go to break, this reminder that dinner after the game at JCW's includes something for everybody, from burgers to wings, shakes to salads. JCW's quality, and a lot of it in Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. Coming up next, a look ahead to BYU and KU with Coach K-Pop. You're in the Coordinator's Corner, brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys. We are back on the Coordinator's Corner, closing segment with BYU Special Teams Coordinator Kelly Poppinga as we preview this weekend's upcoming game at LaVell Edwards Stadium. It's BYU versus Kansas in the 3rd all-time meeting between these 2 programs, first ever in Provo. This look at the Jayhawks is brought to you by Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU Athletics. There you see the Jayhawks, 3-6 on the year, 2-4 in conference. Got a nice win Saturday. We're playing at Arrowhead. They've not been playing at their home stadium this year because of construction, so they've been splitting games up in Kansas City. They were at Arrowhead on Saturday and beat Iowa State 45-36. Last year, it was a game BYU led at halftime, as I recall, Coach Poppinga, and then KU came back for the win.
Yeah, turnovers I think got us in that game, and I don't think we got any turnovers. We didn't take the ball away. Maybe, we did. I think we got a pick. I think Ben Bywater got a pick early in the game, but I think they still won the turnover battle. And
they scored twice on defense. Scoop and score on a pick 6.
Yeah, and then they're just a super solid team. This is I was telling my player, I sent him a text this morning, this is the best 3-6 team I've ever seen.
No kidding.
And I think they have 5 losses by a total of 15 points, something crazy like that. So they've lost some really, really close games, and then you just go to see what they did to Iowa State this last week. This is a super solid team. This is a team that has great quarterback play, great running backs. There's 2 of them that I think are exceptional, maybe the top in the Big 12.
Neal and Highshaw.
Yep. And their O-line's as good as we've seen. They're physical, they're athletic, and then they got some receivers that are experienced. They basically have their whole team back then from what we played a year ago, where I thought they were really good on offense. And so, we're going to have to play exceptional on defense for 4 quarters with these guys. And I think we're looking at this morning, there's not one team that's held them under 150 yards rushing. So they've ran over 150 yards plus against every team in the country, or every team that they played this year. So it's going to be a big challenge for us.
And the quarterback is a big part of that run game. Quarterback Jalen Daniels, still the same guy that was picked as the preseason Offensive Player of the Year last year in the Big 12. They're top 5 in third downs. They're top 5 in red zone offense. A lot of things to challenge you this weekend for sure. And their OC is Jeff Grimes.
Oh, yeah. And Coach Grimes was the O-line coach when I was here back when I was a player. So, yeah, I know Coach Grimes well, and he knows us really well as a staff. So I'm sure he'll have some good schemes. But we're gonna have to play exceptional and really play how we did for those 3 quarters at Utah. We're gonna have to play like that for a whole entire game against these guys. So it'll be fun. It's gonna be a great challenge for our guys, and hopefully we can keep that special teams mojo going to help us give an advantage there. But I know our guys are going to be ready, and probably getting our guys after today. We'll go to team meeting and celebrate some of this stuff because we haven't been together as a team since then. So we'll watch some film, review the Utah game, and then from 5 o'clock, after 5 o'clock today, we're moving on and can't look back and can't dwell on this game anymore. We got to get all of our focus on Kansas because it's going to take everything we got.
You got it. Well, good luck in the week of prep and good luck on Saturday night.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. All right, tomorrow night, join us for BYU football with Kalani Sitake as the coach and a special guest. Take a look back at that win over Utah and ahead to Saturday against the Jayhawks. Tuesday nights, 8:30 Eastern on the BYU-TV app and ESPN+. Coming up next, BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill joins us. As the Coordinator's Corner continues, we are brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys.